In this tutorial, we're going to use Photoshop CC 2020 to add texture to images, because sometimes we want to give kind of a plain image, maybe a weathered look, maybe we want to make it look a little bit vintage, maybe we want to do something a little bit different to it. So this is a relatively easy thing to do, so let's go ahead and get started. Let's go ahead and start with our file open, and let's grab our add texture image. Let's see, it should be in here, and open. We've got our couple of cross-country kits. I'm going to do a file, save as. And let's go ahead and make sure you're putting it in some type of folder. I usually create some type of folder that says like tutorials and put the name of the tutorial. That way as I am downloading all the assets, I can find them relatively easy. Let's go ahead and do a first initial last name underscore texture image and PSD. And make sure your save type is PSD. Make sure you're paying attention where you're putting it. And yes, I know I've already done it once. It's already open once. I'll close that. Alright, so let's go ahead. I will save it one more time because it's not behaving. First initial, last name, texture image, and .psd. Then go ahead and put it in that folder and save. Keep turning that down. It keeps getting louder. Not sure how to make that quieter. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is we've got our image. We've saved it. Let's go ahead and do a image and an auto tone. Kind of make a little darker image auto contrast. And I'm going to go ahead, because I know I'm going to mess with this image, I'm going to go with my adjustments, add a levels layer, and kind of bring in that adjustment a little bit, make it a little bit darker. And we'll go to adjustments, and I'm actually going to play with the hue and saturation just a little bit. I want to bring that saturation up just a tiny bit, make those colors a little more intense, since I know I'm going to wash them out. Alright, then I'm going to go ahead and do a right click and merge visible. So that's all just one layer again. Alright, so I've cleaned that up, Control S and save. So the next thing I need to do is figure out what kind of texture I want to be putting on my image. So I'm going to go ahead and add those photo scratches. So I went ahead and saved those photo scratches to my desktop. So they're right here on this one. I want photo scratches number 1. So I'm going to go ahead and grab photo scratches and drag it from my folder right over Photoshop and bring it in. And it's going to place it. So I want to go ahead and change it so that this is a little bit different. I want to go ahead and make the width, let's go ahead and make it 100%. Whoa, undo. Let's go ahead and break the link and make the width 100%. Break the link. Whoa, don't love that either. Let's try just stretching it. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my shift and grab those edges. Oh, doesn't want to do it. Don't add shift, just grab. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and grab that one. And I'm going to hit enter. So now I've got this textured layer kind of over top. So anything that is dark is basically going to disappear. Anything that is white is going to stay. And you'll notice that it came in as a smart object. Smart objects means that you can go in and mess with those separately if you wanted to. So let's go ahead and double click on that smart object. And I can go in and play with that one a little bit more. So let's go in adjustment. Let's go ahead and do a levels and bring that so my darks are darker, my lights are a little bit lighter. I'm going to go ahead and merge that down, so merge visible. Now I'm going to go ahead and do Control S and save, because it won't do anything to my image until it is saved. So now when I go in here, it should be nice and dark, and notice we rotated it, so it remembered that. So the next thing we're going to do is add a blending mode. So instead of normal, I'm going to go ahead and do screen. So you can see you kind of start to get those scratches coming in. And I want to kind of play with the levels a little bit more, so I'm going to do Control or Command L. And let's go ahead and bring those in. So you kind of turn up those elements. See, I can turn it darker and lighter. Change those midtones a little bit, change your details until you're okay with that one. So now I kind of have some scratches over my people, and I don't necessarily want scratches over my people. So we're going to go ahead and add a layer mask, which is the little camera down at the bottom. And we're going to make sure that our foreground color is black. You can always use your switch back to black and white. reverse that, color switcher, and grab my brush. I'm going to go ahead and make my opacity, I'm going to turn it down a little bit, and grab my brush on kind of a softish brush, so 30ish. And I'm going to go ahead, click up here, and if I zoom in, Control plus, use my space bar and drag, I can kind of now paint with black over top, and it's going to start to hide some of those elements. So you can kind of see your mask, it's starting to appear. So you can kind of clean up those different elements so you don't have it necessarily on their faces and things. If it's not, if you know it's not doing what you want, turn your opacity up a little bit. It'll make your life a little bit easier. So it depends on how subtle you want it to be. I'll go ahead and bring my opacity up 100%. You can kind of see the difference. Alright, so I've got him kind of cleaned up. Make my brush a little bit smaller by playing with my square brackets. Alright, pretty happy with that, so I'm going to do Control minus. Now I want to make it even more obvious, so I'm going to go ahead and add a Hue and Saturation Layer. So I'm going to go ahead and make sure on my layer mask, I'm going to do a Command or Control U, and it's going to pull up that saturation, and I'm going to go ahead and hit Colorize, and that's going to colorize just that layer. And maybe I want to go ahead and make it a little bit more reddish, kind of like their uniforms, and bring that saturation way up. So I got kind of a purple. Not loving the purple, so let's kind of bring it over here till you find the color that you like. So it's just making those, or maybe I want to make it green. Maybe I want to make the really bright green. Ooh, that's kind of fun. Let's make it bright green. And say okay. So let's see how easy it is to add those scratches. Now if I wanted to, I could easily add another texture layer over top of this, so you're not required to do just one. It's very easy to add multiple. So let's do it. Go ahead and do a Control S and save what we've got so far, and that's what we're going to do for that one. So now for the next one, we're going to go ahead and add some images, some scratches and texture to our vintage logo right here. So I'm going to go ahead and crop that down just a little bit, so I don't need to have all of that. So I'm going to grab my crop tool and crop it down and hit enter, then do Control plus and zoom in. Let's do an image and an image size, kind of see what we have going on. So I'm going to go ahead and take my width down to 5, and my resolution at 150 is fine. We're going to go ahead and not use this for print. If I was using it for print, I'd push it up to 300, so I'm going to say OK. Now, if I was to push it up to 300, I'd actually start to lose a little bit of quality in there. Let's do a file, save as. Do a first initial, last name, underscore, texture logo, and save it as a PNG, or a PSD, sorry, and make sure you're putting it in the right folder. I'm going to hit save. Alright, so now what I want to do is go ahead, last time we brought it in by the desktop, this time I want to go ahead and grab those elements. So I have them on the desktop, but now in Bridge. So I'm going to go ahead and grab is Photo Scratches 2. I'm going to try 2. And then I'm going to shift and grab Photo Scratches 1. So I'm going to use both of these on this one. So I'm going to go ahead and grab them, drag them over into my Photoshop. And it's going to be the same type of thing. I'm going to go ahead and resize the first one. So it's going to make a nice texture over my logo. And it's okay that it's outside the lines. We're going to fix that. When I've got it where I want, I'm going to go hit enter. And now it's going to go ahead and say, okay, what do you want to do with the second one? So we're going to go ahead and do that one more time. And hit enter. Now I've got a problem because my logo should be underneath all those. So I'm going to go ahead and slide that layer underneath those two, and now I can't see it, which is just fine because I'm going to create a clipping mask to make it stick to it. So I'm going to go ahead and grab Photo Scratches 2, do a right click and do clipping mask, and then I'm going to grab Photo Scratches 1, right clip and clipping mask, and see now you only have the scratches over top of the individual element instead of the entire thing. And notice we're looking at this at 200%, so it's double what we're going to see. Now I need to make sure I just see the elements, so I'm going to go ahead and change my blending mode down to screen. And go to that second one, change that blending mode down to screen. So now it's not too bad, but I want to go ahead and let's do a view actual size. kind of get a better idea what I'm looking at. And let's take that photo scratches and the opacity and take it down to about 75% or so over on my layers panel. So now it's not quite as dark. I'm going to go ahead and go Control Plus and make it a little bit bigger. So this is why when we do logos, we want to make them bigger so we can always make them smaller. So I can decide, hey, I really don't like how those scratches are coming through here. I'm going to go ahead and turn the other one off so I don't accidentally move it. But maybe I've got the wrong one. So I'm going to go ahead and make sure I've got this one. I'm going to grab my Move tool, and you see how you can move that texture underneath and resize and play with it accordingly. Hit Enter. So see how easy that is to play with and create that other type of look. So let me show you one other type you can work on for your publication. So let's go ahead and reopen that runner. So let's go Open, and let's grab that runner once again, and that Add Sample. And I'm going to go ahead and do a File Save As. And let's go ahead and grab a first initial last name _ add texture image 2 and save it as a PSD and save. Now this time I'm going to do a file open, and I'm going to go grab that 16.jpg and get that really funky texture. So I'm going to grab that texture, take and drag it up and over and down. So it's another way to bring that image in. And I'm going to do a Control- so I can zoom that out. I'm going to go ahead and turn it. So anything that is dark is what's going to be revealed. Anything that's light is what's going to not be revealed. It's going to be hidden. So we're going to go ahead and change that up just a little bit. So you're thinking you've got some really weird 1980s thing going on. You're not wrong. Let's go ahead and do an image and adjust that, just that one. No, it's not. Let's go ahead and grab this one. Because we brought it in as its own layer, it did not come in as a smart object. So let's go ahead and play with your different types of looks and feels for that one. So I'm going to go ahead and let's grab Vivid Light this time. I'm going to do a Control+ so I can zoom in. So maybe you don't like Vivid Light, maybe you want to try a different one. You can always try different types of looks and feel. So it depends on what you're trying to establish. I'll try Hard Light. Alright, so I'm going to do a minus, but it's still got this pink, so maybe I don't love the pink. Maybe I want to go ahead and let's do overlay's not terrible. Whatever you decide, just decide on one. But I don't love how these people are kind of blued out now. So I'm going to go ahead and grab a layer mask. Grab that layer mask, make sure my brush is on black. I'm going to grab my brush tool. I'm going to go ahead and I can brush him back in so that I get nice color again. I can change the size of my brush. So with those square brackets, if I grab too much, all I have to do is change it out to white, and it'll recover that part of the mask. That's kind of the nice part about masks, which we played with Bugle Girl. So let's go ahead and Control+. So that's not too bad. Maybe I'm going to try a different type. So let's look what happens when I try. Ooh, that's kind of cool. How you can just kind of get different types of feels. You can make that actually just disappear. Make the background disappear depending on what you're going to do. So you've got a lot of different options when it comes to the types of blending modes. And I just want you to get in there and play with them. Do something else. I'm going to play with that layer mask just a little bit more. Oh, I'm on white, so it's revealing. I want to go ahead and change. So it's up to you as to how you're going to play with it. I just want you to kind of get in there and see how you can go in and play with different types of layer masks. So for this one, all you're going to do is turn in the PSD files. Make sure you turn them all in one group. And I look forward to seeing what you come up with.